The regular season has concluded for the 2024 Wawa Cup Series, and now there are 12 drivers remaining in contention for the championship and 10 races to run to crown said champion. That journey begins here today at the Nashville Superspeedway, 75 laps around this 1 1/3 mile tri-oval in Lebanon, Tennessee. It is going to be a very interesting race because we will see the best drivers run up front on this speedway here today. It's going to be fascinating as the 12 drivers are only separated by 18 points coming into this race to start off. But as we move through the chase throughout these next 10 weeks, we will start to see some clear favorites. It all begins today here for the Cracker Barrel 400. We're here at the Nashville Superspeedway in the 2024 Wawa Cup Series. Hello everybody, this is AG here, and welcome to Nashville Superspeedway. We are here for the 21st race and the first race of the chase in the 2024 Wawa Cup Series. And the first 7 positions in the starting grid are all chase drivers. The best have come up to the front to play here today, and if it's going to be like that for the next 10 weeks, we're going to have ourselves an excellent battle for this championship. However, the driver starting on the pole at every single lap last week in New Hampshire, that's Blaine Keys, and who knows, he may do it again for another 75 laps. But it's going to be a much different race here today than what we saw last week in New Hampshire. These guys are going to be going much faster, and there's going to be many more opportunities to pass the race leader as this race goes along. Joined alongside Caleb Rose and Josh Williamson back in the booth for the first time since the opener at Homestead. Caleb, I'm going to start out with you since you have a driver in the chase going for this championship with Nicholas Sambadio starting 5th. What does he need to do in this race to get a good finish, maybe even win the race to start the chase off correctly?
I think in a race like this, it's probably just going to be kind of a race nutrition, I think he just kind of needs to stay up front there, Got all these chasers starting up front, so it's probably going to get pretty wild pretty early on in the going. But this is a longer race and should see 2 stops, so it's going to be heavily reliant on strategy. So just make sure you can get it done on pit road and try to put yourself in a position to maybe capitalize once that comes around.
And Josh, great to have you back, by the way. It's been a long time. You guys didn't have the best of runs this season, but we still have some other guys who may not have had the best of runs throughout the season consistently who are still in the chase. Want to look at Matt Tuck and Daniel Paulus Jr. specifically. They start midway through the field in this one here today. 23rd, 24th, respectively for those guys. What do they need to do to get themselves up front in this race to have a shot at starting off the chase correctly?
Well, they need to look for every opportunity to pass that they can. It's going to be a little easier, like you said, compared to last week. This is a multi-groove racetrack, but I think most of that momentum is going to be on the inside lane. It might not be that way in the later runs. We'll probably see that line preferably scoot to the outside of the racetrack when they're on worn tires. But if they really want to make a splash, they need to win it in the pits. There's going to be 2 cycles today, and you need to nail it both from a strategy perspective and a speed perspective if they want to get any points that they can today here at Nashville.
And of course, 2 pit stops in this race going to make this one a very interesting one. The tire wear is very significant here as well. Maybe not to the level as it was at North Wilkesboro, but still, these guys are going to be really, really loose near the end of these runs. About 30 lap fuel runs, or should I say tire runs in this race, because that's really the issue for these guys. And it's going to get very, very interesting, especially if we get a caution at the perfect time. That's what happened last week, and thankfully for Blaine Keys, that did not affect him, and he led every single lap in New Hampshire to get that win. But some other guys fell behind, and while it didn't affect who made the chase and who didn't, it changed the order of these points that you see on screen right now in terms of the bonus. 15 points to the regular season champion of Thomas Troxell, and of course, 3 more bonus points for each win accumulated during the regular season. Blaine Keys was second in the points. He got 9 bonus points for his points position, and then 9 more points, I should say, for each of his 3 wins. So they come into this race tied for the points lead, Thomas Troxell and Blaine Keys. Even though Troxell won the regular season title, Blaine Keys has definitely been one of the strongest guys near the later part of this season, and guess what? He starts on the pole here today for this one alongside his future teammate there at Pacific Racing. That announcement made earlier in the week on Monday, so definitely excited to see what Blaine Keys does in the 32 next year. Right behind him, Rogaldorn 5 points behind. A great season for Rogel. Got the win in the Coke 600. Got the win at Coda. Nicholas Samadeo is the 4th seed with 8 points behind Troxel and Keys. Ludovic Charette 9 points behind. Defending champion Drew Webb is 10 points behind. Trey Bartow 11 behind. Jack Haas 12 behind. And then Braden Perez, Matt Tuck, the only 2 drivers in the chase without wins this season, 16 and 17 points behind. And then you got Kirsten Bell and Daniel Paulus Jr., the 2 wild cards going into this chase. No bonus points for either wild card, both with 18 points, trying to catch up to Troxel and Keys. So it's going to be a lot different once we leave here today, heading into Chicagoland next Friday night. But regardless of the fact, it's going to be a fun race, and we're excited to see who gets it done here in the Cracker Barrel 400. Like I said, Blaine Keys starts on the pole position in the number 41. Alongside him, his featured teammate, like I said, Thomas Troxel on the 62 machine. And about Jack Haas, a bit of a wild card, I would say, in terms of championship favorites. Only got that 1 win at Martinsville earlier in the year, but he's been very consistent there with Echo Evans-Ross's team. That team, along with Grattan Autosport, the only 2 teams in the chase who have both of their drivers in the chase. So, you know, those guys know what they're doing, and Jack Haas could very well start off the chase right. Rogaldorn, we know he's strong. He's starting alongside in 4th. You got Nicholas Samadeo and Drew Webb. I tell you, this was the battle last year for the title, and they're alongside each other in row number 3. You got Trey Bartow to the inside of Jesse Turner. I'm glad that you're in the booth to see this one, Josh. Hopefully Jesse has a good run for you guys here in this one. Not been a good season for those guys. Matthew Hubert and Bruno Diacomo make up the final 10 spots. You got Kirsten Bell, Ludovic Charette, ladies alongside each other there in row number 7. And then further back, you got Braden Perez starting there in the 18th position. Matt Tuck and Daniel Paulus Jr. alongside each other, 23rd and 24th in row 12. Those are the 2 lowest drivers in the chase. There's a defending winner of this race, Logan Williams, starting deep in the field. I don't know what's up with that, Caleb, but regardless of the fact, the driver you want to run well at this point of the season is starting 5th. We'll have to see what he does, along with everybody else here in this Cracker Barrel 400. All right, we know who's starting up front. We know the deal in terms of the chase, and all begins here today. Caleb and then Josh, who do you guys think's going to victory lane here today in the Cracker Barrel 400 at Nashville?
Honestly, I kind of like that number 62 of Thomas Troxel. You know, your regular season points champion, and that 62. He's been really quick so far this season, but he will definitely have some competition in this one. We also know Blaine Keys has been really quick and well in that 41, but I think personally Thomas Troxel is going to be the one to get it done here today.
Alright, that's a good pick, but not so fast. I'm going to go back to row number 4, there on the inside, for Mr. Bartow, Trey Bartow. He's going to start his chase off right and bring that 4 Chevrolet team to victory lane here at Nashville.
Very interesting pick. You know, Bartow hasn't had the best of run as of late. Of course, he made the chase pretty easily with Harrisville Motorsports. He'll be back with that team next year. Going to be interesting to see what he does alongside the rest of these drivers. So with Blaine Keys and Thomas Troxel, 2 of the best drivers all season long, and to lead us off to the green flag. Here we go. We're racing in Music City. Green flag in the air for the Cracker Barrel 400. And lap 1 will easily be led by Blaine Keys. However, that outside lane massively struggled. Rogaldorn and Thomas Troxel slipping back at the start of this one. There goes Drew Webb to the inside of Rogaldorn right there. That's an edgy move this early on in the race. But there is a lot of room through these corners to make these moves. A mile on the 3rd racetrack here in Lebanon, Tennessee. Going to be interesting to see how they end up shaking it out. As Troxel and Rogaldorn both falling back. Same with Trey Bartow. He's getting passed by the 62 machine. That 4 machine falling back, but Blaine Keys continuing the lead. But Jack Haas. How about Jack Haas there for Evans-Ross Racing? Up to the 2nd position right there, trying to get around this 41 machine early on in this run.
You knew that they'd probably get aggressive off the start with all those chasers starting up front, and you saw it just there. Rogaldorn got an incredible jump on your top 2 and tried to take it 3 wide for the lead. going into turn number 1. Unfortunately, that didn't really work out for him, as it's going to cause him to lose a few positions. But he's gotten back down the inside, and he's going to try to make his way back up towards the front. But yeah, like I mentioned, Jack Haas in the 39, looking to start his chase off right, and he's doing what he needs to do so far. Right now, trying to hunt down the 41 of Blaine Keys, who also fired off really well in that 41 and was able to hold on to the race lead. And they've already kind of single-filed and spread out towards the front. You got Nicholas Samadillo running in third. How about Hubert in fourth, and Torres right now riding out your top 5. Good run for both of those guys here at Nashville.
And of course, for Rut Racing, they're unfortunately losing Matthew Hubert at the end of this season. Not sure where Hubert's going to go, but decided to move on from this team, which is a shame because Hubert was definitely the guy who carried this team this season as a rookie driver. And he didn't even make a start on the channel until the Mello Smooth Fest earlier this year. But right now sits 13th in points, looking to get the best of the rest this season. And he's right behind your guy there, Caleb, of Nicholas Samadillo, who is comfortably running in the 3rd position. And that's exactly what you want to see. I know it. What Brennan Willington and Thomas Troxel do not want to see is that 62 falling back, and not a good start at all for Troxel, down to 13th. His teammate, Chase Buck, is up to 15th right now. That 32 has found a lot of speed as of late. But same for Troxel. He's not really found the speed that he has hoped for. And then you got Barto, who is really slipping back down to 19th there for Airgel Motorsports. Braden Perez, Ladovic right down in 20th. Not a good start for Ladovic in this one. And then Matt Tuck in the 54 really got shuffled out of line. He's all the way at the back of the field right now in 39th. Still a long race here. 2 cycles of pit stops, but not exactly what those guys wanted to see. Daniel Paulus Jr., I'm going to have to give him a shout-out here. He definitely rebounded fairly well from where he started, up to 11th right now, battling with the 57. He's ahead of Troxel right now, and this is a guy who a lot of people don't think's going to do well in this chase. Well, he's about to crack the top 10 in the first race, which ain't too bad for a guy who only has 2 top 5s on the season. The guy leading the race has 10, and looking to get number 11 here today, and his 4th win of the season.
They're being hounded by the 39 of Jack Haas, who has maintained a pretty steady gap in behind the 41 of Blaine Keys. Down the back straightaway, there's Nicholas Samadillo poking out to the right side of the picture. He's about a second, little over a second behind the race leader Blaine Keys. He's being hounded by the 0 and the 74. Rogel Dorn there, the 74. It's been a pretty good start of the race so far. He's got the 0. Matthew Hubert going to the inside of that 59. We'll see what line's going to come out. The benefactor, Samadillo blows the corner bad, and Dorn's going to take advantage as well in that 74.
And how about Rogel Dorn? He's also been very strong this season. Maybe not to the level Blaine Keys has been as of late, but it almost felt like when we had that race last week in New Hampshire that the championship might be between Blaine Keys and Rogel Dorn, the way they've been racing. Troxel, it's kind of surprising he won the regular season title. It doesn't feel like he's been up front near as much as he was last year, and the win column would actually very much support that claim. His 1 win came at Talladega, of all places. But you know what? Still holding strong right now. Currently in the 12th position. We'll have to see how well he ends up faring as this race goes along. Daniel Paulus Jr. actually slipped back a little bit right there. Might have gotten on the outside lane and lost a few positions down to 17th right now, trying to get around Avery Alford for position. Not a good run for Ladovic Charette. She got the win at Kansas, and she's been able to keep afloat in that 51 team for Grand Autosport, but struggling here today at Nashville. Not necessarily what those guys won. Next week at Chicagoland, a track that is quite similar to the Kansas Speedway. Going to be there under the lights as well. Might play into their favor once we head there for the Sirius XM 400. How about Matthew Hubert? And this is a guy who, he's been very strong all season. Definitely one of the better drivers who missed the chase, no doubt about it. And he's showing that right now, racing with all these chasers in the top 5, with Rogel Dorn right behind him, Samadillo and Drew Webb right on each other, and it's Philip Torres, Kirsten Bell in the top 10. Watch out for Kirsten during this chase. She's also going to be a huge factor. And then you got Roberto Crown Jr. right here running top 10. Great run for them. They need a good run. It's not been a good season for them. And then you got Bernardo de Oliveira taking the 10th spot away from Angel Gutierrez. So a lot of the chasers struggling, like Troxel, like Charette, like Perez, like Paulus, like Barto, Matt Tuck especially, who just made it in barely. First last week was a bit interesting for him in terms of him being able to make the chase, but let's put it this way, it's not been a good run for him so far this season. In his retirement season, looking to become a team owner next year. And maybe a bit of a super team status going on there with Gratno Sport. Drew Webb to the inside of Nicholas Amadio for position. That's for 5th. And Jack Haas is right there trying to get to this 41. Both of the ERR cars in the second, or in the top 10 right now, with Jack Haas running in 2nd and Kirsten Bell running in 8th. They definitely got a good chance here today in this Cracker Barrel 400.
Definitely. Jack Haas kind of staying there with Blaine Keys and Kirsten Bell back there, trying to move her way through the field. But yeah, I think Haas is probably just kind of content where he is right now, just kind of running behind the 41 of Keys, not letting him get too far ahead. Because if he can just stay with that 41, he could definitely do something once pit stops come around. So that'll definitely be an interesting factor to watch out for. But yeah, really surprising seeing a lot of these chasers struggling really early. And especially not a good day for, like you mentioned, that 54 of Matt Tuck. Like you said, he kind of just barely squeaked his way into the chase. So he doesn't have a lot of those extra bonus points to fall back on. So a bad run like this was going to really set the 54 behind the 8 ball going into the rest of the chase. But it looks like he is trying to make up a little bit of ground there in that 54, up to the 28th position. So he's trying to make his way through the field. We'll have to see what he can do. As Ludovic Charette now diving under the 44 of Ace Garcia. Charette also looking to try and make her way through the field, passing the 44 of Ace Garcia. Garcia's had a really good run so far here today. Started in the 40th position, if I recall, up to 16th. Garcia trying to make a statement here today. Not going to be returning to that Millennium Motorsports team next season. Looking to try and get his name out there. So good stuff there for the 44 of Ace Garcia.
What about Chase Buck once again? You know, he was going to retire and then kind of pulled a 180 on me. He was like, you know what, I might come back. And going to be interesting to see where he ends up next year because, as we mentioned at the top of the show, this 32 is going to be driven by Blaine Keys next year at Pacific Racing. And if that doesn't make the field quiver, I don't know what does, because Blaine has been the only driver to lead any lap in this series since Iowa 2 weeks ago. Blaine Keys has led, at this point, if I can do the math correctly right here, 92 consecutive laps in the Wawa Cup Series. So, and you know, remember what happened to him at Iowa. He got bumped around like it was nobody's business. If that didn't happen, he would have won the regular season title ahead of Thomas Troxel as well. And I feel for Aaron Abel. He's got his driver right here, and this team has done an excellent job all season. However,
my goodness,
one guy has really done an excellent job all season. That's Rogel Dorn, Hamel Racing Enterprises. And if there's any team that can get this 41 here today, I feel like it's this team. And Rogel has really come through the field nicely, and he's right on the back bumper of Blaine Keys as these tires start to wear out here at Nashville.
This is the closest we've seen anybody get to that 41. Heading into 1, he's going to take a look to the inside. Not quite close enough to make a move just yet, but he's staying a steady distance behind the Mountain Dew number 41. Keys a higher line out of turn number 2. Rogel Dorn right in behind, headed down the back straightaway. Advantage a little more to Rogel Dorn, to Blaine Keys heading into turn number 3. Out of 4, Dorn's all over the backside one more time. See if he can get him this time, heading into turn number 1.
Of course, the tire wear is definitely playing a factor, but I don't think Rogel cares too much. There he goes to the inside, and a pass for the race lead on lap 20. Rogel Dorn has taken it away from Blaine Keys here at Nashville. Wow. That may get Blaine Keys out of line enough for Jack Haas to slide back into second. All three of these guys are pretty fast. I think Jack did a good job just letting that 74 go right there, because Rogel's clearly one of the fastest guys at the moment. But still, we have 2 cycles of pit stops to go through in this race. And a lot can happen between now and the finish in that regard. Of course, this race went caution-free last year, and it has a bit of a caution-free feel to it here today as well. The way these guys spread out here in Nashville definitely creates for some very interesting racing. You have Braden Perez, Daniel Paulus Jr. battling right here. Trey Barnes right behind. Of course, those chasers not doing the best of jobs here today. Matt Tuck trying to work his way through the field. Matt's up to now the 25th position. He and Logan Williams both trying to make some quick work. Of course, Logan Williams won this race a year ago. And we'll have to see how well he does. Of course, both of your guys returning next year, Caleb, Nicholas Amadio, and Logan Williams. Great to see that. Of course, a lot of these other teams, they have a lot of big changes going on. good to see that team stay the same for a third straight year. I'm definitely excited to see what you guys do next year. Of course, excited to see what you guys do with the rest of this chase. San Mateo having a great run there in the 5th position.
So far, so good there for Nicholas San Mateo. Just kind of needs to... It's good to just kind of stay where he is, and I think that'll get him some much-needed points. But, yeah, keeping the same driver lineup, kind of just keeping it simple, you know. But you know how the old saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And San Mateo is kind of self-explanatory, but Williams, he's definitely got a lot of potential, and I know he's very passionate about this. I know he does his ratings, and definitely it shows some of the time. I think a lot of it's just kind of plagued with bad luck and misfortune. But yeah, I definitely believe in the 95 of Logan Williams, and hoping that maybe next season could just be his breakout year for that 95 team.
He's broken out 3 times in this series as well. He won this race, he won the Southern 500 last year, and then won Gateway earlier this season. So definitely race-winning speed on that car, and definitely the potential to run well. They just haven't been able to do so consistently. Braden Perez making a move on Trey Bartow. Paulus has gotten to run both of those guys, and you know, you got to hand it to Paulus kind of hanging with these guys. Of course, then again, he's down at 19th now. These guys have kind of fallen off quite a bit in comparison to some of the other drivers. One driver who is definitely making some moves out here, Ladovic Charette. She is up to the 11th position behind the back bumper of Philip Torres. And I think certain guys are managing the tire wear better than others, and Rogaldorn is one of those guys who saved his tires early on and has used that to his advantage later on in this run. Jack Haas trying to get second away from Blaine Keys. They have to be careful not to let Rogaldorn pull away too much in this one. They don't want to repeat at the Coke 600 here today. Jack Haas trying. He is looking on that 41 machine, but just not enough grip to really make that move work, and these guys are kind of stuck in their respective positions at this point. Kirsten Bell's up to 7th as well. And watch out for her. You got Kirsten Bell, Nicholas San Mateo, Drew Webb, Jack Haas, Blaine Keys, Rogaldorn all having great days here today to open up the chase. And Ladovic Charette now into the top 10 as well, so she's also looking to have a solid run there for Grattan Autosport.
Back towards the front, it's still Rogaldorn leading the way, over a 1.5-second lead on Blaine Keys, averaging a race speed almost 151 miles per hour. We're just a little over a third of the way through this race. Pit cycle number 1 just right around the corner here at the Nashville Superspeedway. Now 1.82 seconds over Blaine Keys. As Keys still that steady gap over Jack Haas. That's about as close as we've seen the 39 get to the 41. Still not able to make a move on Keys. Amazing drive early on, though, for Rogaldorn. Started off a little further back. Took a little bit for him to get to the front, but when he did, there's no stopping him.
Yeah, that 74 definitely seems to have a similar car to what he had in the Coke 600. And guess who finished second in that Coke 600? It was Blaine Keys. And that race right there really felt like a preview to what we might see during this chase. However, Blaine's a little wide, and Jack Haas is going to have a great opportunity to take second away from him. That 41 may not quite be up to par here today.
Yes, he does.
Jack Haas looking to the inside for second. We'll have to see if that 39 has anything for the 74. This is a good run for Jack Haas. You know, he's had a good, solid run throughout the regular season. But, you know, outside of that Martinsville win, really hasn't contended, at least in terms like Blaine Keys and Rogaldorn have this season. But, you know, he's a solid driver. You know that Echo is very happy with what he's been able to do. As a matter of fact, both Jack Haas and Kirsten Bell returning to that team next year. So that's another team, just like Appalachian Motorsports, is staying the same going into the next season. And I feel like that might be a bit of an advantage compared to some of these guys. Of course, Rogaldorn also sticking with Hamill Racing Enterprises as well. So it's gonna be very fascinating next year with all these guys. But then again, too, we've just started the chase. We're already talking about next year, silly season already, you know, turning heads and all that. We still got 10 races to determine a champion this season, and we've got a lot of great stories to go along with that. Rogaldorn almost pulling out to a 3-second lead. Now remember what happened in Atlanta earlier this season. He had a massive lead in that race before it got taken away from him off of the restart. And, hey, we haven't hit our first cycle yet. We'll have to see if anyone cuts down right here. Nobody quite yet. Look at Ladovic. How about this 51 team? And how about Kirsten Bell? First one to come down the pit lane right here. Bit of a little bit later than I anticipated some of these guys, but it's still going to be a two-stopper for most of these drivers here today in Nashville.
And here we go. The first pit cycle underway here from Nashville. as Kirsten Bell and Chase Buck are going to lead the field into the pit lane. This is going to be interesting to see just what strategy is going to work out for all these guys, because everyone that just came in is going to have the advantage here on the short run, as now here comes Rogel Dorn and Jack Haas. Blaine Keys and the 41's going to stay out an extra lap. So yeah, this will be interesting to see all the cycles come into play. So is it going to be the overcut or the undercut that's going to be prominent? We'll just have to wait and see how this run goes on. But we'll have to watch Rogel Dorn in the pit lane, as there goes Kirsten Bell and Chase Buck off of the pit lane. And yeah, I would imagine Bell will probably gain some positions out of all this, but the question is, will she be able to hang on until we get to the next one?
I'm a little concerned if I'm Thomas Troxel still out there in the 62. I don't know if it's a good idea to stay out this late, but then again, Blaine Keys, Drew Webb also stayed out an extra lap, and every lap makes a difference here on this racetrack. So Kirsten Bell, she's going to have the advantage initially. But then as this run goes along, will that advantage shift over? And that's the huge question. Rogel Dorn in the middle of this cycle. Same with Jack Haas, same with Nicholas Sambadio. Ludovic Charette's definitely a driver to watch out for as this race goes on. She has a lot of speed in that 51 here. Just like Rogel Dorn. To the downside, she was a lot further back than Rogel was. Rogel started in the 4th position, fell back initially as he tried to make that 3-wide move on the first lap. But now he is definitely hitting his stride and well out ahead of Kirsten Bell. Of course, then again, too, he was already well out ahead of Kirsten Bell there. And now Blaine Keys, that's the driver to watch out for right here in the 41. But even he is going to be quite a ways behind Rogel Dorn right here. As that 74 going to get a huge advantage on Blaine Keys throughout this cycle.
Wow. Goodness gracious, what a jump that Rogel Dorn just got. And we'll see how everything factors through when we get the intervals, how everything cycles through, I should say. Rogel Dorn is going to be miles ahead of Blaine Keys. Hyperbolic, of course. But he has pretty much put this section of the race on cruise control. There's Jack Haas in second. Third place is the 93 of Kirsten Bell, teammate to Jack Haas. And almost a little over 5 1/4 seconds behind Rogel Dorn. And only then do we get to Blaine Keys. 6 seconds behind the race leader. They're going to need a caution now.
I think for Blaine Keys, he's going to have a slight advantage as this run goes along on Rogel Dorn because tire wear is very significant here. And the tires will wear out a bit faster on that 74, and every lap matters. I mean, only 30 laps roughly these guys really run on these tires, so every lap matters in terms of the speed, and that may give an advantage to Blaine Keys as this run goes along. I think Kirsten Bell might be on the shorter end of the stick right here with this one because she's going to be wearing those tires out faster than everyone around her. Nicholas Sambadio on the same strategy as Rogel Dorn, Ludovic Charette as well. Let's see what they end up doing. But Blaine Keys is or should I say Drew Webb, also on that same strategy, same lap time that he came down with Blaine Keys. And then you got Travis Crampton now in the top 10. It's Roberto Connor Jr. How about Daniel Paulus Sr. in 12th right here? I'm going to crack the top 10. And how about this? Daniel Paulus Jr., we thought he was going to be staying with Trackhouse Racing next year. That's not going to be the case. They're bringing in Bruno Diacomo. They're stealing your guy, Josh, to drive this machine next year. And not sure where Paulus is going to end up next year. He has a reserve for next year at this point. But the big question is, where will he end up going? And a lot of that may depend on how well he runs here today and throughout the next 10 weeks. We'll have to see if he gets a good offer based on how well he performs. Well, how about Rogel Dorn? Almost now 5 seconds ahead of Jack Haas, as Blaine Keys has gotten around Kirsten Bell for third right there. Now, Rogel's got to be careful around the lap traffic now, because that's what he's got to contend with. His teammate ahead of him there, Brady Mardi Gras, and you also got Jesse Turner, who's unfortunately struggled here today at Nashville, down in 36. Not necessarily what you wanted to see there, Josh. They're going side by side ahead of Rogel right now, and this could hold up to 74 just a little bit.
That could definitely play a factor in this, as now going side by side with the 82 of Jesse Turner. But yes, you saw it right there. Kirsten Bell falling behind the 41 of Blaine Keys. That 93 is probably really struggling right now compared to everybody else. And I'll tell you what, Nicholas Sambadio, wonder if he made some adjustments under that pit stop, because first run, he was kind of falling back just a little bit. Looked like he was maybe struggling a little bit, but now he is absolutely charging his way past these guys. He passed Hubert in the 0, just got by the 32 with Chase Buck. And 59 might just be one to watch out for as this run goes on. But yeah, I think we're starting to kind of figure out why Rogel got such a good jump on the start, because he fired off on all of his cylinders. And that 74 has been blazing fast ever since he got down to the bottom and got back up to the front. Right now with about a 4.5 second lead to the 39 of Jack Haas. But we'll have to see as this run goes on. Blaine Keys in the 41 looks like he's kind of gotten to the 39 of Haas. Keys was looking pretty quick too. Oh boy.
That 71 is way off the pace.
Man.
Wow.
Something definitely amiss with LJ Semedo here today. That is such a shame for him and that team. You know, hopefully, I'm hoping that LJ ends up returning to Titan Fury. You know, definitely a good combination. They got the Daytona 500 win, but right now, there's something majorly off on that 71. These guys are almost running into him. They got to be careful. Nicholas Samudio next to the line. Meanwhile, Blaine Keys made that one easy on Jack Haas. And now Blaine Keys looking to close in on his rival, Rogel for this race lead. Samudio around Semedo right there. Got to give a huge shout out to Chase Buck, who's trying to find a ride next year. Obviously getting kicked down, and here he is running top 10. Got the win in Montreal a couple weeks ago. He's been finding some speed as of late, running a bit better. Matthew Hubert still in the top 10. Ladova Charette is 8th. She's having a great day in that 51. Got Drew Webb there in 9th. Travis Crampton in... Ace Garcia in the 44 has come down the pit lane. And my goodness. It's just one thing after another for these guys. How about Matt Tuck up to 14th right now, ahead of Thomas Troxel. So a bit of a rebound there for Matt Tuck. He's on the up and up in this one. Of course, Daniel Paulus Jr. is 12th. Solid run for him. You got Thomas Troxel there in 15th. And Braden Perez struggling here today. He's 21st in the 23 machine. Trey Bartow, he's gotten into the wall
damage
in this race. He's down in 27th. Guess Josh had the jinx today. And then there's your race leader, Rogel who is still continuing to lap these guys, but still mired in the lap traffic. However, he actually is still pulling away from Blaine Keys right now, even though Blaine has gotten around all the lap cars that he's been racing with, at least. But Rogel right behind the 31 machine. That is not good omen. That 31's been involved in a wreck of some kind in some way the past 3 weeks. It's Baltazar Steep this week in the 31 machine. And Rogel's probably holding his breath right now being behind this car.
I owe Trey Bartow a huge apology because, you know, I told you at the top of the show, Caleb, when we were doing our picks, I said not so fast. Well, he slipped back about as fast as it takes a Hollywood marriage to fall apart. Very unfortunate run for Trey Bartow here at Nashville, but there's Rogel working his way through traffic. Second place is the 41 still. Blaine Keys hanging in there. Looks like a repeat of the Coca-Cola 600 so far, but we still got another pit cycle left. And he's already within 4.5 seconds. Like you said, Alex, I did not factor in the tire wear. He waited another lap before coming into the pits, so we'll see what Blaine Keys can do. Oh, Samudio really slow on the inside there of Kirsten Bell in the 93. Battling there for the 4th position. Samudio is going to get that spot, and I know you love to see that, Caleb.
Caleb making a bunch of weird noises over here.
Said that he might have made some adjustments because he's looking pretty quick, and he's definitely looking quick here. Trying to get by. Now the 39 of Jack Haas trying to take 3rd away. But being honest, some of the reasons why I made some of the noises there was I was trying not to laugh after that one-liner from Josh.
I wasn't paying attention, so I'm going to have to re-listen to what you said right there. I'm sorry. I'm focused on, you know, what this gap is, what Blaine Keys is doing. You know, he's trying to close in. I noticed a pretty good jump from Blaine there, but thing is, Rogel's knocking down these lap cars. Blaine's yet to catch any of them, and that's going to be a pretty big factor if Blaine does have to maneuver his way around the lap traffic. Rogel just got around Zachary Fitzwater. Have no clue where he's going to end up next year. Andrews Racing closing at the end of the season, as John Andrews himself wants to become a driver next year. Going to be interesting to see if he ends up getting a slot with all that. Nicholas Samadillo has actually closed in on Rogaldorn more than anybody else during this run. And we'll have to see if he can find some sort of advantage on the second cycle of stops, because if that ends up being the case, it could get a little interesting. That's all I'm going to say. Especially with all the lap cars. They got to be careful on the cycle, too. We do not want a repeat of Iowa 2 weeks ago, where they ended up wrecking on that later cycle, and you know what happened after all of that. I know Rogaldorn is also not wanting a repeat of Iowa because he blew up in that race. I think everyone's still out there. Oh, no, Brad Stover.
Well,
And that's another guy we really don't know where he's going to end up next year. How about Troxel finding some speed here late in the going around Daniel Paulus Jr.? He got around Matt Tuck and all these guys here. That's 62. Starting to find some speed late in the going, up to 12th now. Not necessarily the start, though, that he wanted in comparison to a lot of his rivals, especially the top three. Those three guys are all going to be huge contenders for this title as it moves on. And Rogaldorn especially, we got a lot of these speedways coming up here in the next few races, and I think that fits Rogaldorn's style very well, as it obviously has here today.
It's going to be interesting to see what Dorn does in this next few weeks, but looking to start it all off with a bang here at Nashville. But he's got a whole horde of lapped cars ahead of him, including the 28 of Giacomo, Sam at Oskin, as well as the 50 of Matt Black. Might have to give him a call on the radio for some team orders here in a second, but regardless of the fact, yeah, Dorn's doing a pretty good job at trying to manage it so far. However, Keys is he's knocking on that gap. He's got it almost down to under 4 seconds as he's struggling a little bit with the 31. See what the gap is this time by, and it's under 4 seconds now for Blaine Keys. Samadillo's also closing as well. He's trying to get it under 5 seconds. And meanwhile, while all that is going on, we are getting pretty close to that second cycle of pit stops, as well as the end of this race. We're probably about past 2/3 of the way through this thing now. And yeah, time is running out here from Nashville, so you guys are really going to have to put the pedal to the metal going from here. And Keys is really closing. So is Samadillo.
11.
Oh boy, Keys almost closed in a whole second that last lap.
Yeah, and man, you know, it's tough because a lot of it has to do with the fact that Rogel's stuck in the lap traffic right now, and these guys don't have as much of a difficulty at the moment. There's Samadillo getting around Balthazar Steep there, putting the 31 of the... Well, this 31 is already a lap down, but putting him a lap down in regards to the 59. Pulling away. You know you got a good team when your Sprint Series car can kind of keep up. That's Matt Black in the 50 machine once again. And, kind of holding the same speed to Rogaldorn right here. And Blaine now within 3 seconds on the 74 here. He's not going to get to him before the cycle, but how close he is when that cycle begins is going to be huge. It's going to be huge to any sort of advantage that Blaine Keys might get. And when they come down in relation to each other, could very well determine who ends up getting the race victory, because they're closing in on each other. Samadillo as well starting to close back in. Of course, the ERR guys, Kirsten Bell, Jack House, still solid days for them. Ladovic right up to 6th. Matthew Hubert is there. Travis Crampton. Drew Webb is 9th. Chase Buck. And then you got Thomas Troxel about to crack the top 10. Paulus and Matt Tuck right there, 14th and 15th. And then not good days for Braden Perez and Trey Bartow. Those are the two chasers who have really struggled here today. As a matter of fact, Trey Bartow is about to be lapped by Rogaldorn here at the Nashville Superspeedway.
I thought Matt Black was going to be a bit of a nuisance there to Rogaldorn. He bumped the 28 of Bruno Giacomo up out of the way as the 74 of Dorn was bearing down on him. But Matt Black made it not much of a challenge for the 74 to get around, and now slipping back a little bit more as the gap now under 3 seconds between Rogaldorn and Blaine Keys. Some cars running a very high line back behind, heading into 3 and 4.
Whoa, three wide.
Whoa, Samadillo's down low on the inside of Blaine Keys, all the way under the yellow line.
I don't know. Something had to have happened to Blaine. Something had to have happened to Blaine there in regards to getting around the lap traffic, because that 59 was considerably further back than Blaine Keys, and then all of a sudden Nicholas Samadillo is up into the 2nd position. Hopefully I remember to edit that and you see that in the corner of your screen, because something clearly happened to the 41 there. But no damage on the 41 machine. Looks like he got it re-fired back up, and he's back in momentum. But that was a scary moment right there for Blaine Keys, I feel like.
Well, whatever happened, it certainly granted Nicholas Samadillo an opportunity to capitalize, and he's going to try to get around the 61 down the inside as Blaine Keys slips to the outside. He's slipping back further. LJ Semedo in behind the 59. And now Blaine Keys is going to have to be on the offensive.
Semedo's got fresher tires. Semedo's got fresher tires, which is why he is out there.
That's what happened.
Yeah, and I think you had some guys who are out here who are just slicing through the field at this point. Semedo being one of them. Remember, he was a bit off the pace. He's 3 laps down at this point. Blaine Keys is going to get back to the inside of San Mateo. So, in regards to catching up to Rogel Dorn, that's not necessarily what these guys wanted to see, as them battling for that position. As Rogel Dorn's about to put Trey Bartow a lap down, or at least trying to close in to do so. But LJ Semedo's got a lot of speed out there in that 71 with those fresher tires. About a 3-second fall-off for these guys here at Nashville, and that's definitely a huge factor. If Semedo catches up to Rogel Dorn here and makes it interesting with the 74 and trying to get around him, which even then, Blaine Keys is still able to close in there on the 74 that lap. So Blaine still has more speed at the moment than Rogel Dorn, but Rogel might have a big enough lead at this point after Semedo kind of cut through those guys. These guys have to be careful not to get into each other and cause a wreck, especially during the cycle. We do not want that to happen. Been a great race so far. Rogel Dorn has been the dominant driver, but this thing is far from over. We're closing in on the second and final cycle of pit stops here in the Cracker Barrel 400. Ludovic Shred is up to 5th now in the 51. This is another driver to watch out for as we get to the later part of this run. Kirsten Bell trying to pull away. And we'll have to see what Kirsten can do as well. Of course, she hasn't had the speed in comparison to Blaine Keys and Nicholas Samadillo. LJ Semedo's still mired in between all these guys, so I don't know if he's going to close in the Rogel Dorn before the cycle begins, because that cycle's going to be beginning very soon here.
Still nobody coming down here in the top 5. Stretching it a little longer than I thought they would. But oh boy, here we go. This is going to be interesting to watch as Dorn trying to put Trey Bartow a lap down. I'm sure Bartow does not want that to happen. Trying to defend against the 74 of Dorn. But we're way into the pit window now, so I wonder when these guys are going to elect to come down. Blaine Keys there on the inside. They're checking up. I wonder if somebody ahead is pitting. I don't know.
That 71 fell off the pace again.
Oh, here we go.
Kirsten Bell, first one down.
Kirsten Bell.
And
somebody else was down.
Rogel Dorn is still out there, so that's going to be interesting. Matt Tuck's also down the pit lane, further back in the field. They were a couple of the first ones to come down that last time around, so we'll have to see how that ends up affecting their strategy in terms of trying to gain as many positions as they can. Rogel Dorn in the 74, is he going to come down right here? He is not. He is going to stay out again. If I'm Blaine, if I'm Samadillo, I want to... Ooh, they're still staying out right here. Very interesting move out of those guys. Ludovic's coming down. So is Jack Haas. So the Grattan guys and the Evans-Ross guys, they both come down a bit earlier than our race leader of Rogel Dorn, who now only has 3.6 seconds on Blaine Keys. He's losing time staying out there. I think he's trying to get the good tires longer in the run, but there's only going to be about 10 laps in the run, so I don't know if it's going to work out as well for Rogel Dorn. If he stays out later here, he's been out there for a while. He's got to come down right here. And then Blaine and Samadillo here.
Samadillo, yep, here they come
as well. So they're all coming down the same lap. I don't know about that. Don't know about that strategy. May not be the best idea for those guys. There's Rogel Dorn in the 74. We're going to follow with them right here. Gotta be careful to get into this pit box right here. Where's Logan Williams?
Alright, he's going to get by Williams.
To the 74. Gentlemanly move right there.
Oh, and now he's going to have to worry about...
And he's going to have a clean entry. Oh my goodness, but look at who's right behind him. Nicholas Samadillo on that pit lane. Of course, I think it's going to be a 4-tire stop. I don't know, do you take the risk and go 2 to maybe gain some time on pit lane with only 10 laps to go? Oh my, he did go 2!
He did it!
Oh, they're all
Why
going
not?
2.
There's only 11 laps left.
All right, so now the big question is, what did Kirsten Bell and Matt Tuck decide to do? Because if they went 4 tires, they might have a bit of an advantage. And Kirsten's ahead of the 54 at the moment, I do believe.
41.
Yeah, he's
41
considerably
take 4?
ahead. And I think Blaine Keys went with 4 tires there on that stop. So a split strategy. The San Mateo stuck right with them. But Rogel is out of here in the 74 right now. We're going to have to see if that 2-tire strategy is going to play out in his favor. I feel like Kirsten Bell may have gone 4. Didn't follow to see what she did, but she might have an opportunity here because that 93's got a lot of speed.
What a run on San Mateo heading into turn 1. We are 3. We are almost leading on 4. A bump and run by the 47 to the 44. Kirsten Bell gets around on the inside.
The 93.
And Jesse Turner, that was tight.
Coming off the pits.
Wow.
Oh.
And Kirsten, oh yeah. That 93 clearly has fresher rubber underneath of her. And, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be an interesting one. We got ourselves 9 to go across the line for Rogeldorn. Kirsten Bell, that time around. Oh, she lost a lot of time right there.
Oh, Brady Mardi Gras.
She lost a lot of time trying to get around San Mateo. We'll have to see. 93, of course, she also has the warmer tires as well from coming down earlier. The big question is, did she go 4? I don't know if Blaine Keys took 4 tires or what. He has fallen through the order significantly, down in 18th for Blaine Keys right now. And that is not at all what that team wanted. And I don't think they're going to have enough time for those 4 tires to really kick in. And San Mateo's back on Kirsten Bell. So I don't think these guys who are up front took 4 because they're all running around the same speed. Ladovic in the 51 looking to close in for position. And with that being said, unless something drastic happens, Rogeldorn has this one on lock here at Nashville.
I don't know why you would go 4 this late in the race. Why would you not? You only had 11 laps left. You only got a Sanford and Son around for a few more laps and you're good. So, a good idea on paper, yes, but when you're this late in the game, you've got to pull out the strategy. You've got to take some risks. Blaine Keys, that 41 team, did not. Rogeldorn, everybody at the front, did. Right now, it looks like it was the right call, but we'll see what happens here. 6 laps to go at Nashville.
Battle is on for second. You got San Mateo, Bell, and Charette. 2, 3, and 4 right now. And I would say for San Mateo, this is a huge win for him. Even if it's second, again, that's definitely the way you want to start the chase off. He won't be the points leader going to Chicagoland next week, but that's definitely the momentum I know you guys want to see there at Appalachian Motorsports. And he's had an excellent run here today. Ladovic, however, might be a good contender for second place. And if this race had another cycle, I think Ladovic would probably win it. But she has moved her way through the field very well on this one. That 51 has been very quick here today. And she's taking the 3rd position away there from Kirsten Bell. Nearly a 5-second lead for Rogeldorn. This is a lot like the Coke 600. And the way that Rogeldorn just dominated that race. And I tell you what, it's going to be hard for the rest of the field to beat this 74 as this chase goes along. But hey, that's what we said about Drew Webb last year, and he only won the championship by 2 points. It's going to be a long chase. A lot can happen between now and the finish. This is just the first race of said chase. But Hamill Racing Enterprises, they found their driver for Rogeldorn here. 5 seconds on Nicholas San Mateo here at Nashville, with only coming to 3 laps to go here in this Cracker Barrel 400.
Yeah, coming to 3 to go here from Nashville. Looking pretty good here for Rogeldorn, but you know how the saying goes, it's not over until it's over. We've seen it quite a few times so far this season in the Cup Series and the Haas IndyCar Series as well. But Rogeldorn with almost a 5-second lead. He just needs to bring it home in that 74 for Hamill Racing Enterprises, looking to start his chase campaign off in the best way possible. And how about the 54, Matt Tuck? He's found his way into the 10th position, and Blaine Keys in the 41. He's made up some spots, but he's just up to 16th. But, yeah, looking good so far here for Rogeldorn. Looking to maybe be the championship favorite as Ace Garcia in the 44 is back down. Couldn't make it to the end. But 2 to go here from Nashville. Rogeldorn looking to turn some heads and potentially maybe set himself in a position to be the championship favorite. But I don't think it's over for second here. Ludovic Charette trying to make one final charge on Nicholas Samadillo as we come to the white flag.
White flag in the air for Rogaldorn in the 74. He's really taking it easy there. Wow, to the inside of LJ Semedo. That was, that's interesting. We'll have to see how he ends up rolling around this last lap right here. He's still 5 seconds ahead of Nicholas Samadillo, however, which the battle is on for second between Samadillo and Charette. That two-tire strategy may not have been the best idea because those tires, those left sides, they are worn to shreds at this point. But and Philip Torres with an issue in the 20. He's on the apron right there. Rogaldorn is going to come off of turn number 4, and he's going to open up the chase with a race victory. Rogaldorn gets the guitar here in Nashville in the Cracker Barrel 400, and second place will, in fact, belong to Nicholas Samadillo, and it's Ludovic Charette, Kirsten Bell, and Jack Haas, the top 5, with Travis Crampton, Matthew Hubert, Laura Chung, Chase Buck, and Matt Tuck rounding out the top 10.
Whoa. Man, what a drive by the 74 Rogaldorn. 5-second gap to the 59 of Nicholas Samadillo. He was just on rails here today. And yeah, that's going to probably put him in the best spot possible here to open up the chase. And yeah, that's also really good for the 59 Nicholas Samadillo. Like you said, it's not a win, but it is a lot of much needed points going into the chase. So I'm sure he's definitely going to be happy about that. And yeah, I'm sure second doesn't sting as much for Samadillo now that he has gotten himself a Wawa Cup Series victory. But man, what a race that was. That was a really fun race. A lot of stuff to watch out for. A lot of stuff going on, and boy, Rogaldorn might have won by 5 seconds, but there was still a lot of underlying factors going on.
Definitely an interesting race, no doubt about it, and I think it definitely showed that Rogaldorn's definitely a guy to watch out for. I think the bigger story, though, was Blaine Keys at the end there, was up front this entire race, and on the last pit stop, they either went with 4 tires or they had an issue on the pit lane that sent them back to 15th. But, you know, all the chasers finished, most of the chasers, they finished very well. As a matter of fact, all the chase drivers except for Braden Perez and Trey Bartow finished top 15 here today. And how about Rogaldorn leading the way here ahead of Nicholas Samadillo. Ludovic Charette finishing 3rd, Kirsten Bell, Jack Haas, all chase drivers. Then Matt Tuck, the next one in line with Drew Webb, Thomas Troxel, Daniel Paulus Jr., that group of 4 drivers right there from 10th to 13th. Blaine Keys in 15th, Perez in 18th, and then Trey Bartow. Not necessarily how he wanted to start that one off, down in 26th. Take a look at the rest of the results right there, and the tire that went down on Philip Torres' machine, and Brad Stover had a camshaft go bad, but a caution-free race here at Nashville without any stupid things happening near the end, which is great to see, and hopefully that remains for the rest of the chase. I really want to see these guys race it out these next 10 races for this title, and they're all going to be chasing Rogaldorn here. 4th career win in the Wawa Cup Series, 3rd win this season. It's going to be interesting to see what Rogel can do with Blaine Keys, with Samadillo. This is not a good start for Blaine Keys. He had a good jump on the field in this one. Actually could have left the points leader if he finished right behind Rogel. Maybe tied with Rogel at least, but now he's going to be further behind, and now Samadillo is going to be the one who's second. And Nicholas, we know, is a consistent driver who could find himself in position. He was leading the championship going into the finale last year. Going to be fascinating to see. But final thoughts, guys, and what a race it was here at the Nashville Superspeedway.
Absolutely. I really thought that we were going to see another Blaine Keys runaway. He escapes with a 15th place finish after what turned out to be a disastrous call on the final cycle of pit stops. I still can't believe that people would go for 4 tires that late when you got others going for 2. I guess it's just, oh, you hope that someone makes it the same call as you. It's just a game of chess or checkers, whatever you want to call it. But Rogaldorn and Nicholas Samadillo and all of them, they made the what I thought would have been the best call. I wonder what it would have been like if Blaine Keys maybe had taken 2. He was right there with Rogel Dorn and Nicholas Samadillo until that, but man, that definitely has to sting for Blaine Keys, but absolutely what a riot this race has been. Congratulations to Rogel Dorn. Fantastic way to start off the chase. Same for Nicholas Samadillo, even though he's not going to come out of here with the points lead. He might fall in right there in second. We'll see how the points shake out here as Thomas Troxel struggled. Blaine Keys didn't get the finish he deserved for the race that he had. But absolutely, what a riot this race has been, and certainly is going to be interesting to see how the rest of this chase goes, Caleb.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be really fun to watch how the rest of this chase goes on. Definitely a very interesting and exciting way to start things off here from Nashville. But yeah, really tough break for the 41 and Blaine Keys especially. Having that issue, he had that issue really late in the race and just was unfortunately not able to rebound. So yeah, really tough break for that 41, especially running up front for all that time. But yeah, a lot of interesting things here going on and a lot of good runs here, especially from guys like, of course, Rogel Dorn, Nicholas Samadillo, Charette, Bell. How about that for Kirsten Bell? Up in the top 5, as well as Jack Haas, so double top 5 there for Evans Ross Racing. So great stuff for them. Of course, the 54 of Matt Tuck. What a drive from that Grattan Autosport driver. Was at the back for most of the day and managed to claw his way through the field to a top 10 finish. But well, this is probably the perfect way to start the chase. A lot of interesting developments going on, and we'll just have to see how these developments go on as the chase continues. But yeah, once again, congratulations to the 74 of Rogel Dorn. What a drive for that Hamill Racing Enterprises team.
And next week we're going to be at Chicagoland, and you know how that racetrack can be sometimes, so watch out, it's going to be fun. Then we head to Pocono and Indy. Those two races are going to be excellent. Those are 4 races where Rogel Dorn could easily win them all, and we could very well see something like we did last year with Drew Webb at the beginning of the chase, really just start to rack those wins up. But hey, anything is possible, and what a season it has been so far to show us that. It's far from over, and we're just getting started. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. Huge congratulations to Rogel Dorn on his race victory here today at the Nashville Superspeedway. And like I said, next week we'll be at the Chicagoland Speedway for the Sirius XM 400 next Friday night for that race as well. It's going to be fun to see how that ends up shaking things out as we continue on with the Wawa Cup Series Chase. A huge thanks to Caleb Rose and Josh Williamson for joining me here tonight. And especially you, Josh. Been a while. Hope you can join a couple more races before the end of the season. And we will see the rest of this chase play out over the course of the next 9 weeks here on AG the channel. Don't miss a beat. It's going to be a lot of fun here. See who gets this Wawa Cup Series title. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. Here are the points for the Wawa Cup Series after 21 races and after the first race of the chase. And on behalf of Caleb Rose and Josh Williamson, I will see you guys later.